So we're going to try something that's slightly different. Um, and Max have just done Max's 1 to 11. We're sitting here. I'm got a beer. We're just having a chat. Max is having a coffee in the morning. He's in Melbourne. And we've always found when we do these sort of things that after we press the button to stop recording what you guys see, we get the best content come through. And since we have got Nutty Max from Melbourne and we have Dan, the podcast whore, it's got to be a perfect example. Just have a random chat. The first question I'll ask you, Max, is like, there's no football over here till the 3rd of April. Will the season come back? What do you think is the right thing we should do?
Look, for the sponsorship, just purely for the sponsorship money, for the TV rights deal, for what levels that the Premier League is going to have to not hit certain losses, because they have to hit certain numbers for different broadcasting deals, which makes up a huge percentage of the Premiership. I know I've heard a lot of people, Dan being one, saying, you can't play games behind closed doors. It's a waste of time. Just end it. I get the sentiment to that, and I know that the games are going to be soulless, but the games are going to have to be played. I heard a really interesting concept the other day if it was shut down, though, and I thought it'd be interesting to ask you boys what you thought. So no one would really mind if right now Liverpool got given the Premiership, right? If they just said,
I would.
Liverpool's won the Premiership. I know you would, but I mean, if Liverpool's won no one would be in uproar. Such is their lead, and if we're looking at it statistically, what is the likelihood that they were going to throw it away?
They haven't got the points. They can't win it. They can't win the league. Please.
Yeah. So I heard this the other day talking about just because they're not going to be able to fit, if they put it on hold, they're not going to be able to fit in all the games. So I was reading that statistically they would take all the teams who were essentially out of both elements of it and play round robins at the top and the bottom in like these little mini leagues where they'll be able to put multiple games on maybe in one stadium at once, which will allow them to isolate in an area at once altogether. I thought that was really cool. So it was about, the one I heard wasn't at the top of the table. It was in promotion and relegation, because that's the thing. If they halt the season, who gets promoted and who gets relegated? That's the real sticking point. So I was hearing that what they might do is they might take the top 6 teams from the Championship, the bottom 6 teams from the Premier League, and play them off in a round robin seeded tournament to see who gets promoted and who gets negated.
Go through that again. The
bottom 6 from the Premier League, the top 6 from the Championship, and play them off in a cup competition in a round robin to decide promotion and relegation if they can't play all of the games. And I thought, what a cracking idea. They'd have to have no crowds there because like people would like riot and bottle each other. It would be like 1970s English football, like for promotion and think about the Championship. Think about how I still think that the Championship during playoffs is the best football to watch in England out of anywhere. I would rather watch Championship playoff football than a Champions League final that doesn't have my team in it. I don't care about the Champions League final. I want to go see people like double leg each other to get into the Premiership. That's what I love. But that was something that got put to me in the pub the other day, and I was like, yes, that would make amazing sense.
The thing with me, I get about it is you can't give any of these teams by the way, they were going to win it. It's like what Trev put on today about the Grand National thing. It's the Grand National's been cancelled, so we'll just give it to the favourite. They were going to win it. It's exactly the same. So you've got Man City that mathematically can still win the league, so therefore Liverpool can't win it. You've got Aston Villa that look like they're probably going to potentially go down, but they've got a game in hand which will get them out of the relegation zone. You've got Manchester United who look like they're going to get 5th place, but at the moment Sheffield United win their game in hand, they can go 5th. So there's so much of this at the moment. None of it matters to Arsenal. We're still screwed, whatever. So yeah, but we're screwed, whatever, with the way we're playing, in my opinion. No. I look at it now and think, none of this is fair. So
listen, Dan, we get a point against City. We're level with Spurs only on goal difference. Then we play
massive if.
Yeah, mate, you've been drinking the same silly juice as that Trevor. That Trevor in that interview that you did with him on the West Ham game. When he said that Arsenal had played well in West Ham, I'm convinced he'd had a stroke.
I'm on anti-coronavirus liquids. I'm on Foster's.
I love you, Trevor. Beautiful.
I love Trev.
Beautiful
I
old
love
man.
Trev's,
I love you.
Trev's
I love
passion
you.
and
But
Trev's
get
optimism.
off the beers, Trev. Get off the beers. At the game.
So Max, you top us sorted out the relegation promotion side of things. Dan, how do you sort out the top of the league, and how do you sort out the Champions League, Europa League positions?
The only way that you do it is you extend the season, mate. You can't start saying, "Oh, that we." Max's idea is great, but that's never going to happen, is it? Let's be honest. It would be great to see it, but it's never going to happen. So how do you sort out the top? You void the season unless you can carry on playing it. You can't do job half done. I've always said that if you do a job, you've got to do it properly or don't do it at all. And as far as I'm concerned, if we cannot finish this season before the 25th of July or whatever it be, then just get rid of it and cancel it, and no one wins anything. Everyone stays where they are, because that's the fairest way to do it. You can't start saying, "Oh, Leeds, they probably would have gone up, but Blackburn or Nottingham Forest were probably going to go down," or whatever it be. You can't start guessing it. It's just would cause too much mayhem, in my opinion.
They've now postponed Euro 2020 to be Euro 2021. It's going to be the 17th of June to the 17th of July 2021 is the preliminary dates. So there's definitely a big enough window for us to finish the season. They're talking about bringing football back on the 3rd of April. I know from some of the contacts I've got that Arsenal are already preparing for the Norwich game to be behind closed doors. Whether that is what happens in reality, there's talk about similar to what Max was talking about, which is they're having neutral venues and having multiple games on certain times, like maybe having 4 games on Saturday at Villa Park and then 5 games at Wembley and stuff like that. Max, do you think that could work?
Yeah, well, they're talking about doing it in the NRL here, the rugby league. I know you guys love your rugby league as much as
NRL.
I do. Yeah, they're talking about doing that in the NRL here. They're actually talking about taking all the clubs up, splitting it into 3 different sectors, taking them up to the least affected part in Australia because it's still hot up north, which is in Queensland, it's up Townsville and all that way. And they're talking about actually putting the competition in 3 different places, housing them in 3 different places and playing what they call magic rounds. So we have this thing here called Magic Round. It usually happens twice a year where all of the teams, say, go into one city and they play back-to-back games, and you buy a ticket, and you can buy a ticket for the whole day, or they play it over 2 days.
You can see 3 games, one after the other,
yeah,
4 games.
Basically, you just see them all. You see them all in a row. It's a big carnival experience. Now, that only works with fans. Like that's the whole point of it, is that it creates all this stimulus for the area. But when we're back, it might be a fantastic way to play a lot of games very quickly. The guys already play games every 3 days anyway, if they're playing cup competitions, Champions League competitions. The issue is going to be the match fitness at the end of this. And it's something people haven't really spoken about. You don't go from just not playing to playing, retaining your match fitness, or setting a level of. These guys are essentially going to have to go back into some form of preseason if they're not constantly working through.
After 3 weeks, they're into like losing fitness continuously every day.
So it's the standard of football when it returns is going to be a standard of football akin to preseason games. It's going to be really interesting. I think we just have to look at it like this. Regardless, the landscape is not going to be something that we recognize. Regardless. And you could say that economically, you can say that about sport, you can say that about everything. When we come out the other side of this, and we will come out the other side of this, I choose hope over fear. #Max. When we do come out the other side of this, everything is going to look different. And I think that we have to accept, and that football fans have to accept, that the landscape has changed drastically, and that we are going to be looking at either different style competitions or different style round robin competitions, and it may take us over a year to reset and come back to what we know.
Do you think ultimately, if they finish this season, which I think they are trying to do, whether it's behind closed doors or whether it's on front of limited crowds or in magic roundabout sort of magic, what do you call them? Magic round. Magic
Typical
round
Australians.
sort of events.
Magic round, mate.
Do you think ultimately the outcome at the end of the season, the end of the 38 games, will be the same as
No,
if the season had ran?
no,
No?
no. And that's what I mean about accepting that the landscape is going to be different and teams accepting that the landscape is going to be different. Yes, you're going to have some very upset teams down the championship. Yes, someone like Leeds, who has been fighting tooth and nail, in and around those playoff spots for
Spent billions.
God, the last 10 years, Leeds have been in and around those playoff spots. Yes, but do I want to lose my business? No, I don't want to lose my business. But that is the state of play at the moment. That's what I'm looking at. And
Dan,
football players are not absolved from the same changes. Football players and football clubs are not absolved from the same sorts of changes that the rest of society is. We're all going to have to negotiate a way through this, and we're all going to have to make changes, take hits, and amend the way that we act. So I say, whatever the outcome is, however we can come to an outcome, everyone needs to just say, that's the outcome. It was unavoidable.
Dan, who do you think the winners and the losers, if they manage to finish the season by the end of June or whatever, who do you think the winners and losers in this are? If you look at the relegation side, first of all, who do you think might swerve it? Who you would have thought would have gone down? For example, Villa, will they swerve it? Will West Ham go down? Who do you think?
I think, unfortunately, the team that are going to do well out of this are Tottenham, because they're going to get Harry Kane and Son back in time now. I personally thought they probably were going to be back for the North London derby anyway. Harry Kane always manages to be fit for that, whatever. He could have a broken leg 2 weeks before and still manage to play. So I think Kane and Son coming back is going to be huge for them, because they're really struggling at the moment. In terms of relegation, something's telling me that Bournemouth aren't going to make it this season, and I don't know what it is. I fancy Nigel Pearson to get Watford out of trouble, and I think that David Moyes would also get West Ham out of trouble. And something tells you that Jack Grealish has got the quality to somehow lead Villa to victory. So I think that the teams that will go down will probably be Bournemouth. So I don't know. I don't know that, if I'm honest with you, in terms of how I think it's going to happen, I think the season will carry on. I think in a few months' time, when this dies down, if it dies down, then I think that it'll go forward into next season potentially, and they will then have to look about perhaps getting rid of the domestic cups, League Cup or FA Cup, or both.
That was going to be my next point, Dan. Well done.
But
I think the Premiership is the thing that matters most. The Premiership is the thing that delivers the most amount of money. If we're talking about increased schedules, magic rounds, things like that, limiting travel, as well, I think it has to be that you look at it and you say, okay, we're not going to play the FA Cup and we're not going to play the League Cup. Especially the League Cup, it has no standing other than financial gain. I mean, the FA Cup is a directive into European competition, but
the FA Cup is done for this season.
Yeah.
So, sorry, not the FA Cup. The League Cup is done for this season. So you're looking at the FA Cup where we got Sheffield away, and then obviously there's the semi-finals and the finals. So I do agree. I think those 3 games could be foregone. One for the reasons of crowd security and safety and everything else, and just logistically freeing up some time, because Arsenal currently have 10 games to play, and that was before you look at us foregoing a league game for Sheffield United. So we, at the end of technically speaking, this weekend, we still have 10 games when everyone else would have probably 8 games. So we'd have 2 games in hand. So to try and free things up, I think the FA Cup got to be binned for this year. The League Cup is already done. Next season, I don't think you have to need to worry about if we can get everything back and started by, they're talking about the 4th of April, 3rd, 4th of April.
You're going to have to play at least 2 games a week, aren't you? You're going to have to play at least 2 games a week to get it done.
I don't see that being an issue. They already play 2 games a week.
That's what I mean. I don't think it'll be an issue either. I really don't think it'll be an issue. In 5 weeks, it can all be done.
Yeah,
it's not as bad as people are talking about. We're talking about we've forgone 2 weekends of football. If you don't have the FA Cup and we don't have to have, then the only game we've got in hand to worry about is the Man City game, which we can squeeze in. So it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks of football because there's an international break this week, next week anyway, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't see an issue with playing 2 games a week to get it done. If it can get to the stage of in April at some point, then it can be done by the kind of middle of June or whatever it be in the coming weeks. I don't see an issue with that. I am starting to lean towards this season being void and cancelled day by day because of the stuff that's happening in the government. Yeah, but because of the way the government are at the moment, everything's becoming quite big day by day here. It looks more and more unlikely that the season is going to continue. And if I'm honest with you, it actually wouldn't bother me whatsoever if they got rid of this season from a selfish point of view, just for the pure fact that it's been an absolutely abysmal one as far as Arsenal are concerned. However, it has been unfair for the other teams that have done well.
I think you have to put your football hat on, not
your
Arsenal
Arsenal hat.
Yeah, I think that's the overarching thing. And I mean, like I said, the one for me is like if someone said we're just going into Champions League and Europa League with the same 5 teams as last season, same 4 teams as last season, same how many teams as last season, I don't think that I would have as much of a visceral reaction to that as I would teams getting relegated. Because what it means to get relegated and what it means to get promoted is, in some ways, I think is more than what the chances of going and winning a cup competition. Like I know there's money involved there as well, but for some reason, that's the end of the competition that I look at. That's the end of the competition that I look at is the promotion and relegation end of the competition. Yeah, for some reason, that's where my focus is. That for a team in the championship to have struggled and fought in what I think is the hardest league in the world. I'm not just saying that's the hardest. I'm saying in the world, I think the hardest league in the world
is what the Premier League
is. No, championship football. I think getting promoted to championship football is the hardest league in the world. Give me any league in the world, you'll play more hard games every week in the championship than you will elsewhere. And for those teams to have got themselves to the top of the pops there, to get themselves, king of the castle and trying to get promoted, and vice versa for teams in the Premiership, fighting every week for their survival. For some reason, that's the part of my football hat that I say you can't just can the season and say it's as is or it's just madness. Historically, it's shown that teams who have come from nowhere in the championship and been promoted, through the playoffs. We've seen teams pull themselves out in the last 3 games of the sea's Sunderland's going and getting points at Man City's, and it's that would be maddening for clubs, and the financial implications would be massive. But in a way, at least if they bin it all and they reset it from next season, it's equal to everyone.
If I ask you this, because seeing as it's an Arsenal podcast, if I asked you this without our football impartial brains on, there's 2 routes for us to get Champions League this season potentially, right? Finishing 4th will get us Champions League. City do get, won't happen in my opinion. If City do get banned, next season, which I still don't think they will, but if they do, then 5th place would give us a spot right? Won't happen. But this is the other way. If they void the season and cancel it and give the 5 teams of last season the Champions League, we will end up in the Champions League. Will that happen? That's more likely to happen, in my opinion, than us coming 4th or 5th this season.
Have you not thought if they void the season and put us back into position that we were last season, that they don't defer Man City's ban for one season?
I would have thought that it would defer Man City's ban. Was exactly what I was going to say. Not to mention, I'm not even confident that Man City's ban will stand. I'm sure there's an appeals process, and I'm sure that they're going to be able to offset it. Or there's going to be reductions. I said, until I see the writing on nailed to Man City's door, like you are banned from Champions League, I refuse to sit there and say, well, fifth. And not to mention, I don't think that we'll get anywhere near fifth anyway. I'd be surprised if we take another 10 points for the rest of the season.
It's already going to take so long anyway. And now because of all this, it's definitely going to take longer. So that Man City ban is definitely not going to happen next season now.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, it's taken too long. It's going to take too long for all the legalities of it.
Dan, can I ask you a question? You come along and say you want to write off the season and have done with the season. Is that what your
I don't say I want to do that. I don't say I want to do that. I said if it happens, it wouldn't bother me. I'd like to see the season extended personally, but I don't think
I was going to say because you've also you've said on WhatsApp groups and everything else about just have done with it, write the season off. That's it. Just close it down, and we sort out the consequences there afterwards. Is that with your Arsenal hat on, or is that with your football hat on?
That's with my Arsenal hat on, because if I'm being selfish, I don't care about this season at all. It's caused so much horrendous hurt and pain for me already as an Arsenal fan. So
that doesn't help football, then, does it?
That's what I'm saying. It's with my Arsenal hat on. With my football hat on, I want the season to extend and I want to finish it. Absolutely. But with an Arsenal point of view, I don't give a damn, really. If you're saying to me, what do you think this will mean for Arsenal? I'm an Arsenal fan and we've been awful, so it won't bother me. Let's crack on with next season.
Yeah, well, how about this?
As far as football's concerned, I want to see it extended.
How about this as an option? If the season has to be extended and it means that there's a shortened pre-season running into next season, that next season the Premier League plays a shortened competition where everyone only plays each other once. It's a shortened competition into next season. It allows us to get a reset and get back online for the season following.
Where do we play the games?
We've got Qatar 2022.
You play half your games at home, half your games away, and it's done as a lottery, or it's done seeded. If you're a seeded high, if you're a seeded higher team, you play away to seeded lower teams to even it up. If you're a lower seeded team, you're at home. If you're a higher seeded team, you play away. Then
I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be the FA. I wouldn't be the FA to make these decisions, would you?
These are things they're talking about here for different sporting codes. They're talking about everyone only playing each other once. They're saying if we have to defer the season, because the season's meant to have started, we played one round, it's looking at being shut down. They're saying, look, well, if we play everyone once, then you play at neutral grounds, Dan. That answers
That's
that.
what I was going to say.
You play at neutral grounds.
So we'll play the North London Derby at Villa Park or something like that. So yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Or the North London Derby at Chelsea, and it's it's 50 ticket holders.
Bridge wouldn't exist anymore, would it?
Yeah, they'd be burnt down, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But I think there are so many more options, for us to look at and ways that this can be done. Shortened competitions, shortened cup competitions. Someone even brought up the other day. Crazy idea, but someone brought up the other day playing shorter games so that they can play more games more quickly.
Heard that 30-minute games.
Yeah, they were talking.
Half, yeah.
It's 30-minute half, 60-minute games, and the idea being that theoretically, if we're playing a third less of a game, we should be able to play a third more often because we're not running people. And I'm like,
there's so many things.
Like it's such a wild landscape, and I don't remember what I was saying on this podcast or the last podcast. But everyone has to get into the mindset that it's not going to look like the Premiership we know. It's not going to look like that.
For the last 10 games of the Premier League, if we did go into 60-minute games in total, and then Liverpool eventually get the title, which we all know that they are worthy champions, but technically speaking, they're not. So fuck them.
Language, Fergus. I know we're not live. I know we're not live, but you're going to have a hard time cutting it out with this program.
Yeah, I know it's coronavirus, mate. It's coronavirus. Can then they justify that they are worthy champions if they've played half games for a third of the season?
No, there'll always be an asterisk next to it. It's like if you pick a bird up in a nightclub and you tell her you're a lawyer, right? There's always an asterisk next to it.
Lawyer or liar?
a lawyer, right? You say, I've got three Ferraris out the back. I'm going to take you back to my mansion. But that's getting sprayed for bugs. So I've got to take you back to this motel, right? You'll always have an asterisk. You'll be happy that it happened. You'll always have good memories. But you'll always be thinking, I got there through false standards, through false ways.
Boys, can I change the subject to something which I laughed at earlier?
Go for it, because it's about to go down the Arse Bros toilet. Yeah,
it's about to go down Arse Brosy, isn't it? Yeah, no, I'm joking. So there was a thing. I'm going to bring it up on my phone. Actually, this is how bad this season has been for us boys, right? And I know this has come from ridiculous pundits, and I don't agree with it whatsoever, but I'm going to bring it up anyway because I thought it was crazy that the pundits aren't even rating any of our players currently, okay? You're not going to be able to see, I don't think you're going to be able to see this, are you? No, you're not. It's too small. So it's John Hartson and Jolyon Lescott's Premier League 1 to 11, seeing as we've just done a 1 to 11, outside of the top 6, which is currently the whole of the Arsenal side to pick from, right?
Yeah.
You can pick any Arsenal player you want. And this is the team that they've gone for, right? This is two pundits that do not rate any of our team apart from Aubameyang, right? Nick Pope is ahead of Bernd Leno in goal. Okay,
Stupid.
To be fair to him, he's had a really good season. He's had a really good season.
I'd agree with that.
But that's up for debate, right? So Nick Pope,
I think Bernd Leno's the top 3 keeper in the Premiership. So I think that's.
And I would agree with that, right? So Pope has been given the nod, but he has been good, Max, this season. In my opinion, Pope's been very consistent, right? So I can just about understand that. Max Aaron's at right back, great player. I really rate him. I think he's a top draw player, and we haven't had a right back for ages. We're playing Socrates there, for goodness sake, because Bellerin's been injured for so long. So that one I wasn't too pissed off about. Then they've gone for Gary Cahill and Egan at the back. You know, the Sheffield United lad.
There would be so many other Premiership centre backs. I would pick. I'm not saying I'd pick any Arsenal centre backs, but there are loads of other centre backs I'd pick.
I agree with that. So that was a bit strange.
Who does Egan play for?
Sheffield United.
I'd have one of the Brighton guys, Dunk or something like that.
Nathan Ake, Lewis Dunk. There's enough. There's enough of all players. Even Tyrone Mings has had a better season than some of those. Tarkowski.
I wish I hadn't have been so anti Cahill when it happened. I was so anti Cahill. I was like, we don't need him. We don't want him. You asked me if I would rather have David Luiz or Gary Cahill now. I know David Luiz's form has improved slightly, but I said Cahill. You would have Gary Cahill. Yeah, I know you did. And I was I think I shouted at you and called you old and foolish and demented.
We got 3 minutes.
So this left back will make you laugh. Pick a left back outside the top 6 that you'd go for, boys.
It's too
even
early.
Saka would be better than this guy. Yeah. Danny Rose, ladies and gentlemen. Rose.
No.
He is quality.
Does he? Do you think?
He's quality in the sense that Tottenham are
so many
currently a top 6 side, but he's not.
He's on loan at Newcastle.
Doesn't help that he's at Newcastle, Fergus.
No. But he was a Tottenham player, and he's just recently gone to Newcastle. So
I don't think he's that's good enough. Then you've got Zaha and McNeil on the wings. Fair enough. I like both of them players. I think they're decent. And then they've gone for Jack Grealish, who I totally agree with. But they've gone for Capoue in the middle ahead of Decore. I find that very odd. I'd have Decore any day of the week. And to be fair, there's some other players in there that you'd probably look at. And then they've gone for Danny Ings and Aubameyang up front, right? So you look at that team, and there is no Arsenal players even close to it. And I had a great debate on same old Arsenal with one, Aubameyang. So you look at it and you think, how is it that people are still saying to me that this Arsenal side, they're sticking up for some of these players? They're sticking up for how good Mustafi's turned into, and Xhaka and Ozil. They're still better than what we've got. Apparently, Capoue is better than Xhaka. Apparently, Jack Grealish is and what's his name? Neil are better than Ozil.
I can answer that question.
Go on.
They are.
We're bang average.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
If you ask me if I'd take Grealish over Ozil, I'd say yes.
Yep.
If you ask me whether I would take, I don't know whether I'd take Capoue over Xhaka. I think they're actually quite similar in the fact that they're really, really one-dimensional. They're just one-dimensional in different areas. But you know, I wouldn't have Xhaka.
But you'd take Gary Cahill over Mustafi, wouldn't you? And you'd take, do you know what I mean? You would, and over Socrates, what's his name? Egan from Sheffield United. You would take, you know, most of them players. Honestly, you would. And this is just proving how bad it's been.
Bar Leno, and I think that Saka, and this is without an Arsenal hat on, right? I think that Saka, for him to be
ahead of Rose,
from that team ahead of Rose is mad. I think Saka's been. I think he should be the European Young Player of the Year this year. I think he would be an amazing shout for Young Player of the Year for what he's done in the environment that he's come into, in a team that he's come into with the changing of the coaches and the changing of the guard at Arsenal. Like Saka is like, how you could not have him in there for Danny Rose is beyond me. But outside of that, I might not agree with the players that are in the team, but without being sort of Arsenal negative, I wouldn't put a lot of Arsenal players in there.
No, and that's my point. And people have been ranting, saying, "Oh, it's harsh, Dan. You're harsh on some of these players." No, I'm not. It's the truth. These players are bang average.
Yep.
Listen, boys. No, it's fine. It's fine. Now people know what happens when we press the end record and go up the arse and it all finishes. We sit here for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, just rambling on about Arsenal and just random things. And Max has said for ages, we need to capture this. And that's exactly what happened. We finished the 1 to 11 that we done with Max, and we started chatting for 5 or 10 minutes. And all of a sudden I went, hang on a second, guys. I'll send you a new link. We're just going to record this and see what happens. If it's awful, we'll get rid of it. But it has been really good. I've really enjoyed just the ramble. Max, get to work.
If there's a work for me with the economy shutting down, but yeah, off to work. Couple more coffees for me, then off to work.
Okay, mate. Dan, hope you're well, mate. I will see you whenever we open up again somewhere or wherever.
Man.
Yeah.
Hopefully sooner rather than later, man. I'm missing it.
Listen, we're gonna have to meet up for a beer or something soon. But let me get over this lurgy stuff anyway. I don't want to infect nobody else. So again, always, you have been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans, by Arsenal fans. If you want to check out our guys' other content, you got Max on Arse Bros Rant. You got Dan, he's on Same Old Arsenal Potsy Preview. And well, actually, Dan's everywhere. He's a podcast whore. So, but otherwise, subscribe to Guns and Yellow Ribbons. We're on Guns and Ribbons on Twitter, Guns and Yellow Ribbons and everything else. And up the arse.
Up the arse.